You're driving to make some extra money, maybe with Uber or Lyft, or maybe both of them. What happens if you get into an accident and you're injured? You need medical care, but you don't have a lot of insurance, and let's say the other driver has none. Do you have any options under workers' compensation? Do you? Hi everyone, this is Morrell with the Colorado law firm Kaplan Morrell. We've been helping injured and disabled workers and their families get the benefits that they deserve for work injuries since 1997. Hey, if this video helps you understand the legal system, understand your rights, please hit like, subscribe, or comment below. We'd love for you to be part of our online community. In this video, I'm going to discuss the problems that Uber and Lyft drivers face when they've been injured on the job while driving, either because they've been attacked by a passenger, God forbid, or they've gotten into a car accident. And we're going to talk about what kind of options you have under workers' compensation, why those are the options, and some of the things that you can do to protect yourself. The big thing that Uber and Lyft drivers don't understand, especially when they've got injured, is the difference between being an employee and an independent contractor. If you're an employee and you're injured on the job, your employer is required to have workers' compensation insurance, which covers all your medicals, lost wages, etc. Okay, workers' compensation wouldn't, for example, cover damage to your vehicle. Hopefully you've got other insurance for that. But if you're an independent contractor for a business, then you're not going to be covered under workers' compensation. Now, I handle cases all the time where someone who really is an employee is being called an independent contractor by their employer, and it's complete. So oftentimes it's a fight, but I'm going to tell you with Uber and Lyft, there's very little doubt that you're probably going to be found to be an independent contractor if you are driving for Uber or Lyft or both, even more so if you're driving for both. So typically the distinction if you are an independent contractor versus an employee is kind of a balancing test, but here's top 3 or 4 things that I look for, that I see judges look for. Number 1 is who supplied the tools. If you supply the tools, then chances are you're more likely going to be an independent contractor versus an employee. Think about it, okay? Again, if the Uber provided you the car, right, and they made you drive their car, chances are you're going to be an employee. But if you provide the car, you maintain the car, etc., then that's more likely that you're going to be an independent contractor. Number 2, is there a requirement that you're exclusive, or are you in fact exclusive? For example, if I require someone to work 40 hours a week, chances are they're going to be held to be an employee because that's their only job. Or if I say to somebody, listen, you can come in and you can do X for me, but you can only do X for me, then again, chances are they're going to be an employee, because an independent contractor, think about somebody who comes in and cleans houses, and they clean a lot of people's houses, and they can come kind of whenever they want. There's no time card. There's no, I mean, maybe it's like come Wednesday morning, but there's no time card coming in and out. And there's certainly no requirement that the only person you clean houses for is me. Person's going to be an independent contractor. And so, for example, Uber and Lyft make it a big point to say, listen, you can drive for other services. They don't say you can't drive for anybody else. And if they did, that would make you more likely to be an employee rather than an independent contractor in workers' compensation. Finally, some things that courts look at is this your only gig? Meaning you are working full-time for this business. You're not providing this service to anybody else. Sometimes that's a factor. That's enough of a thing. So if you're only doing for example, Uber, and you're doing it 40, 50 hours a week, and that's your only gig, etc., that's an argument you're an employee. But again, it's not a silver bullet. It's not establish this and you definitely win. It's just a factor. And chances are, again, with Uber and Lyft, they're going to be very clear about their documentation about you're an independent contractor, you're not covered under workers' compensation, etc. So What we recommend, if you're going to do Uber or Lyft, make sure you've got great insurance. And in fact, you can even get workers' compensation insurance. And the advantage of getting workers' compensation insurance rather than an insurance to cover your auto and injuries under auto are a few. Number one is workers' compensation doesn't matter whose fault it is. Other kinds of insurance, like car insurance, you've got to show the other person was at fault. And if you can't show that, then you're not going to get coverage. Okay. But in work comp, fault doesn't matter. So even if it's your fault, you accidentally run into a light pole or a fence or, God forbid, a building or et cetera, you're still covered. Number two is in workers' compensation, they pay right away. You're not having to try to find someone who will treat you, and you're not having to wait until the case gets accepted or proved fault. A lot of times work comp will step in right away and pay benefits. So I personally always recommend that you get workers' compensation insurance. And if you don't want to do that and you want to just take that risk and get regular automobile insurance, make sure you kick up what's called your underinsured and or uninsured motorist coverage. What that means is, again, if someone hits you and causes a little damage, that's sad and that's bad, but at least they've got $25,000, which is the minimum insurance required. But if they cause a lot of damage to you and now you've got $500,000 in medical benefits and this cabron only has $25,000 in insurance, you're going to go through that immediately. And so if you have uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage on your policy, you'll be able to make a claim under your policy for the difference. Big distinction. As you can tell, these things can be very fact-dependent, complicated. So if someone you know or love has been injured on the job in Colorado and they need to know what their rights are, what their options are, let them know that there's a law firm that helps injured and disabled workers. Our initial consultations are completely confidential and complimentary. Give us a call. You can text us. You can reach out to our website. We would love to be able to help you understand your rights and understand when you know your rights, you know your options. That gives you a little bit more peace of mind than having to guess. And with that, thank you for spending part of your day with me today.